Here's your sneak peek of what we're going to make today on the Basic As Cooking channel. I will show you the technique and go over the calories and some of the macros for this meal. So buckle up, Buttercup. It's time for the Basic As Cooking show. Today's video is not a recipe exactly, it is just a cook lunch with me kind of thing. People seem to like these, so I'm very excited to share more with you. All right, so today I have some salmon. This is Atlantic salmon fillet, and this was on sale yesterday at Whole Foods, and it was only $13.32 per pound. So I got a whole pound, and I was lucky enough to get a really nice fishmonger who gave me a centerpiece instead of a tailpiece for $13.32 a pound. So that's kind of a big deal. I'm very excited about that. It's the little things, right? Okay, and then look at my onion. She got a little forgotten in the back of the refrigerator, and so she has started to grow into her own world, but I'm still going to use it. Wish me luck. I should still be alive for the next video. I'm also going to use some garlic, and today's vegetable is some bok choy. So my idea is to eat half, and this is going to be a 80 grams of protein meal with this and the small yogurt thing that I will also eat. I'll show you that too. But so this is like most of the protein, but I plan to eat half of this and then one of these, and then I can do this again tomorrow. I'm not going to cook it all at once because I might change my mind tomorrow. So, and I don't really love leftovers, so I really will just cook it every day, honestly. So yeah, so that's going to be like the base of it. So since I'm on a weight loss journey as well, I recently learned that you can save some calories by using cooking spray instead of just pouring in oil. So I'm going to do that. And then for a little bit of flavor and kick, I will either use this chili infused olive oil. So you just like drizzle a teeny bit on top. For a whole tablespoon is 120 calories, but I am too much of a wuss to use a whole tablespoon of this anyway. I don't super love spicy food, but I'm growing my tolerance. I can't continue to live in Texas with all of the really good Mexican food and continue to not have any spice tolerance. So I'm building my tolerance, and I'm going to add a little bit of this. I got this from Target and it was on sale as well. I don't remember the exact cost. If you don't want to use this, you can also use a little bit of butter. But the way you can save some calories, don't use oil or butter like at all, and just use a little spray. You can also use water. Or like for me, I'm going to just choose one naughty thing. So I'm going to use this for cooking, and then either oil or the butter or the chili oil to kind of dress it at the end. So if you're ready, I am ready, and we're going to cook this. The nice thing about this method that I'm going to show you is really you can do it all in one pan if you want. You can use more than one pan if you like, but for me, I'm just going to use the one pan. So while my skillet is heating up, I am going to chop up my bok choy and my onion. So chopping the bok choy up is easy. You just lop off the end, and then all of the like stem part, I just cut it into little like pieces like this. And bok choy has a very mild flavor. You need to kind of cut it until this little core part is off. It's a little bit more tough. You can eat it though, and I've eaten it in the past. So I'm just going to take off these little bits, and you can see that it's a teeny bit dirty, so we will just rinse it off before eating it. So I'm going to cut this part, and then for the leaves, I just cook them a little bit separately, and I will show you that in a second. So now I'm going to rinse off my bok choy. Now for my pan, it should be sufficiently heated up by now. So I am just going to spray. I'm kind of new to using just the spray, so okay, so it's working. It's cooking. And while that starts to cook, I'm going to rinse off the leaves. So I rinsed off the leaves and I set those aside. And today I'm going to use some pretty simple seasonings. So I am going to hit the bok choy with a little bit of salt. And pepper. And just move it around a little bit. You could also cook this in chicken stock. But I'm just trying out this low oil method that I just recently learned about. And I'm going to add a splash of water just so nothing burns. So while that continues to cook, I am going to chop a little bit of onion. So for the onion, since I'm just making one serving, I just took a little bit and then I'm going to slice it really thinly. It's just a little bit of a flavor enhancer that is low calorie. So now with both of those things in the pan, I'm actually going to turn the heat up a little bit. I think it's a little bit too low. And I will let these soften and cook while I chop up the garlic. So I am noticing that the pan gets a little dry. I think that we could see that coming. So I'm going to add a little bit more water. Water has 0 calories. So I'm going to add a little bit more. And just let this continue to cook. So I'm actually going to move on to my salmon. I'm not going to add the garlic just yet because I don't want it to burn. So I'm going to move my bok choy and onions over to the side, and then I will also add the tops of the bok choy, the leafy parts, at the end. So now with the salmon, I am going to just open up this pack and try to cut about a half of it. But look at that, I was able to get this really nice center cut piece. The center cut piece is nice because it's somewhat evenly the same. It's a little bit thinner on this side and thicker on this side, but kind of similar. So that's why usually I think people prefer the center cut instead of like the tail. But I can attest that it all tastes the same. So let's see. My knives need to be sharpened, don't they? So I've rinsed my hands off, and now I'm going to return to my pan. I'm really having to babysit this with the water, but I feel like this will still taste good. So like I said, I've moved my bok choy over to the side. You can also season your bok choy with like some soy sauce too. So now I'm going to put the salmon in. If you want this skin to be crispy, you of course need to do this without the water. Probably just need to, oh, there's too much salt. Oh no. Okay, if you put too much salt, just spread it over. Spread it over. Because that's like way too much salt. Spread it around. Live action cooking, y'all. No edits. Few edits. I'm not going to edit that out. Okay, so now I'm going to add my pepper. And then I am also going to add some seasoning on top. So since I accidentally probably over salted my salmon, I'm going to use this salt-free lemon pepper seasoning. And I'm just going to put this on top. At this point, I would also usually add some oil to the top of the salmon, but I'm going to not do that and see how this goes. So now at this point, I'm also going to add in my garlic. If you have a bigger pan, this is probably a good time to use the bigger pan as well. And I can see, so you can probably tell my stove is a little uneven. So I'm noticing that this side of the pan is getting, you can clearly see how uneven the stove is, but you can see that this side was getting dry. So I'm just adding a little bit of water and just stirring it around. And so basically you just cook until the salmon is your desired doneness. And you can see the salmon, the color changing as it goes up, so you can kind of tell that way. Okay, so for my dessert, heavy on the air quotes, I am going to have, this says you can have 3/4 of a cup, and it is 180 calories. This is Siggy's plant-based coconut blend. I am lactose intolerant, like a lot of people. So I do like this Siggy's yogurt because it's thick like Greek yogurt. So it does have 8 grams of carbs, but it does have 11 grams of protein. So I actually don't think I want like 3/4 of a cup, but I'm just sharing that with you in case you want the whole amount. So after it's mixed up a bit, this is what it looks like. So I'm actually going to measure. So it says you can have 3/4 of a cup for 180 calories. I am actually, maybe I do want 3/4 of a cup, because now when I start doing this, I'm like, that's not very much. Starting to measure my food has been really eye-opening for me. So for example, with the salmon, I cannot tell you how many times I've eaten like basically 4 ounces, a half a pound. I think that's the right math. Maybe 8 ounces is half a pound. I think there's 16 ounces in a pound. But I have eaten that much, and I didn't know that that's how much that I'd eaten. And I will share the calories for that for salmon here in a second. So this is half a cup. This seems like enough. So I'm not going to eat this is plenty. So I'm not going to eat 3/4 of a cup. I'm just going to eat the half of a cup. So I will adjust my calorie counts for that. You can use this little kind of spatula. I'll link one below in case you need like a little skinny spatula. Sometimes you need a skinny spatula. So I have to stop for a second and plate up my other food. So this is real life, folks, so hold on. All right, so this is my salmon. So as you can see, it's done, but if you use the water, it doesn't get kind of like crispy at the top, but I think that'll be good. It'll be still tasty. And then I have the bok choy. I think I did not film it, but I did eventually add the leafy parts of the bok choy. So we have the whole situation here. So let me do this quickly. I don't like to eat cold food. All right, so we have our half a cup of plant-based coconut yogurt, and then I'm going to have some berries. So I'm going to have half of a cup of the blueberries. So the blueberries need to be washed. So I think counting blueberries and onion and garlic, you know, you can count it if it makes you feel better. But I personally, I'm not going to count. I'm going to measure the blueberries, but because they have some sugar in them. But I didn't measure the garlic and the onions. I feel like if I had just been overeating onions and garlic this whole time, I would not be fat. But if you somehow got fat from eating onions and garlic just by itself, let me know in the comments. That's not what happened to me, if I'm going to keep it real, okay? So now this is my half cup of blueberries. I'm going to rinse these off. Are you one of those people who cannot have your hands be dirty? Like, I am so weird about dirty hands. And so the best part of this, to me, is this granola. So this is granola that I buy from the Whole Foods bulk bins. I think it's called OG. Like, it's the really plain one. So let me show you. So it just basically has oats and pumpkin seeds and cashews and maybe like a little bit of walnuts. But I think that's the name of it. Don't quote me on that. But I love this stuff. So I buy it, and then, you know, it comes, you can put it in a little bag like this that they have for you. But when you get it home, if you leave it in a little bag, it will go stale. And this stuff costs too much. Everything at Whole Foods costs too much for it to go stale. So I put it in a little deli container that has a sealed top like that. And it stays fresh. So this stuff is like so good, but as you can imagine, it's pretty calorically dense. So I am going to treat myself to 2 heaping tablespoons, and that's it. Now you put your lid back on, okay, and you walk away. You put it aside. You don't eat any more of it, all right? And then for the yogurt, let me just put this up. All right, so I have now, here we go. So we have these things. This is going to be the lunch. And so I'm going to share with you the calories. You might be surprised if you're if you're not used to counting calories. It might surprise you how much this is in actuality. So I'm going to edit this right quick. Okay, so for our salmon, this is roughly 0.55 pounds, like half. This is 514 calories. The yogurt is 120 calories. The granola is about 75. The blueberries, 42. And then the bok choy is about 38. So, oh, and then I'm going to add a little bit. So altogether, this is 789 calories. And then I'm going to add a little bit, just like a drizzle. So absolutely not a whole tablespoon. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon. And that's it. Like, there you go. So we will say that is like another 10 calories. I don't know. I'm not a math person. But hold on. I will actually, can I put this? Let me see. I'm going to actually do this. Let's see. Oh, wait. Says food not found. That's okay. Forget it. We're going to add another 10 calories, let's just say. All right. So we're going to say that it's roughly 800 calories, right? So if you look at this, personally, I would not, since I didn't know before now, I wouldn't think that this would be 800 calories, but it actually is. So I hope you learned something with me today. I hope this was a nice little, you know, kind of like get to know what I'm going through kind of situation. Being a little vulnerable about what I cook with pursuing weight loss. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. It helps with, you know, letting other people find out about me. And I would love to have more of y'all here around with me. All right. Have a good day. See you in the next one in the bay.